Hello and welcome to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, fam, all your ways, and that you are living your best life. Thanks to every single person that has subscribed to the channel. You guys are amazing. We are approaching that coveted, 200K mark. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to everyone that likes and shares the video. I appreciate love each and every one of you so much. Now, there's a story. I've been getting a lot of emails about covering this story, and I've been very averse to covering it because it's just like how are they trying to flip the script? And I want to really stress, fam, that this is the time to move in total and complete discernment. I'm talking about the latest reports emerging out of the divided states that are talking about how African Americans all of a sudden are the face, of they're trying to make, let me say, they're not the face, but they're trying to make them the face of the coronavirus in the divided states. We all know who the virus has been killing. The numbers in Europe were actually catastrophic, to the point where Italy is now considering suing China for war crimes, for unleashing the Wuhan, like they actually call it the Chinese virus on them. And we've seen that, disproportionately also, it has affected the Caucasian population. Here in Africa, it was brought by plane, mainly by foreigners. That's a known fact. And in fact, check out one of my stories where a lot of expats are now talking about how they no longer feel secure, in different African nations. Time done change, fam. So what's happened now, and I even refuse to read those articles, is that a lot of mainstream media in the last 24 hours or 48 hours, they have been pushing this narrative that the coronavirus is affecting a disproportionate number of Black people in the divided states, and they're talking about how many more, African Americans are dying compared to other races. Now, at the same time, the WHO and different members of Trump's administration were actually talking about, the next phase of this. The next phase, of course, this is a new world order agenda. This is an epic false flag, fam. And they were talking about the next phases. They're going to be trying, I think it was the US. Please check out Riza Islam's YouTube show on this. And they were talking about how Washington was talking about how they were going to be going into different people's homes to check, because now it's families that are spreading the virus among themselves. How Orwellian is this? If you have never read 1984 George Orwell, this might be a good time to do that, and I'm sure it's free online. And we have to realize that this is an absolutely massive propaganda campaign by mainstream media to frighten African Americans and to get them to literally beg for the vaccine. Now, unfortunately, and I do have to share the flip side, unfortunately, our African American brothers and sisters, a lot of us are not very healthy in terms of what we're eating. We're the biggest consumers of their junk food because they make it hard for us to have access to healthy organic food. So we have to be aware of that. A lot of us, a lot of African Americans also have pre-existing conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, just because of, it's like the system is set up against you. And that's why I'm saying you have to find what is at your disposal, because you cannot rely on the enemy of your soul to tell you not only that you're sick, but to even, diagnose you and try and mash you up. You can't. And, it's really important that, that we avoid this, because we can see now that they tried to make the Black people the face of this virus, and that backfired very badly. And now, even with China, where we saw, African brothers and sisters being kicked out of their apartments because they're said to be bringing coronavirus. Which African has taken coronavirus anywhere? Name one, please, if there is one. And so this is just really a warning to my African American family. Like, fam, you guys really, you're on your own. You're on your own. And please, medical viewer discretion is advised. Do what is right for you, but recognize that the healthcare system is not for you. But there are things that you can do in your own power. Build your immunity. Get off the sweets. Get off the meat. Get off the fast food, because food has been weaponized against you to weaken you and to make you sickly so that you're always depending on some kind of medication. Elevate yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. Recognize that, you can't be kept from the laziness and ignorance of yourself. The Most High may be able to protect you by warning you, through channels like this and many others, warning you of what's coming, warning you of what they want to do. But so many of us are watching mainstream media 24/7 and just getting totally brainwashed. And then you come over to the Dr. Mumbi show and you're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Wow, you stay there, please. But, this is a culling, family. This is a culling. They're taking out the unwanted, the poor, and the elderly. They are getting ready to put in place the New World Order. Please, fam, start to take your life into your own hands. Start to take your health in your own hands. And it's funny because a lot of in Africa, we've been talking about how in December, January, many of us got this really, really terrible, terrible flu. But somehow we overcame it. Could this be the coronavirus? And I know a lot of African American brothers and sisters have actually reached out to me and they were like, I was in New York while I was here and I got this terrible flu and I just, I went vegan for 2 weeks. I drank a lot of water, I except whatever. Everyone has their own home remedy. And if you're in touch with spirit, this will happen naturally. But don't buy the lies. We must counter this lie. Fam, there's a global war going on and it's for the narrative of the world. And if we're not careful and if we continue to be as careless and as disunited as we've been, our narrative is gone. Like they are. Anyway, may the Most High bless and keep you.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome to another episode of Prophetic Sundays. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. Really praying that you are well, living your best life and coming into alignment, because we are in the best of times and the worst of times. We are also in, a very important space between reality and illusion. And a lot is being created because the powers that be are losing their stronghold on Mama Earth. They're losing their stronghold on, the ancient ones. I keep telling you guys, the ancient ones are back, etc. If you look at your children, some of your children, you'll see that, maybe it's your grandmama returned or your mama returned or it's a really, really mystical time. And what I wanted to really come in and encourage you is this is a really powerful word for those that need to hear it. Now, what I wanted to say is that, Africa is a spiritual kingdom as much as it is a physical kingdom. And what this means is that, I keep saying, fam, we're spiritual beings having a human life. And so everything in this world happens first on a spiritual level and then it manifests physically. So that's why we see so much, manipulation by the powers that be on the spiritual level. That's why there's been so much focus on religion and kind of indoctrinating us and disconnecting us from our spirituality, because, the spiritual dimension of life is the back room. We live in a spiritual world and we are just having a physical experience that has been planned out way before we actually walk through it. And so a lot of you have been asking me, how do we want to come back to Africa. We want to return to Africa, but how do we do it? And I just want to tell you that it is really possible. And I know some of you say you don't have money. I know some of you say you don't even have passports. You've never traveled outside of your country. You're afraid. You're this, you're that. And I want you to, you're entrapped in this situation where maybe, because of you were incarcerated, you're not allowed to leave the divided states, for example, or many, many other things, because you have a prison record, you can't get a passport in Europe, or whatever the circumstances may be. But you have to recognize, and this is what I want to say in a very long-winded way, that connect to Africa first spiritually. Return to Africa first spiritually, and the physical roadmap will be, outlined and set out for you. I was speaking to an elder the other day, and he was telling me how, sometimes what happens, and he was explaining to me the how the spiritual world affects the physical world. And so he was saying, there's so much wickedness going on. And for example, someone can actually arrest your spirit in in the spiritual world and lock you up. And what will happen is, if your spirit is spiritually locked up, eventually your physical body will commit a crime so that it can follow the spirit. And so our physical bodies always follow our spiritual bodies. So visualize, meditate, print all the pictures randomly, even if you don't know what country, randomly pick a country and then print out, the map of that country. Create a vision board. I hope you know how to create vision boards, which is just really pulling your mental power out into a visualization exercise that manifests everything for you, So pull these things into your reality. Just, pull Africa, pull your return into this reality. Put words, create a vision board where you put words like, the great return home, and, I'm coming home, and then a picture of the African continent. Find pictures of even the different, sorry guys, there's a bird behind the camera. I've even lifted my feet up, it's one of those, anyway, I don't even want to say what kind of bird it is. But seriously, look at ways to do that. Spiritually return to Africa and your body will find its way home. That it sounds so simplistic, but if you have no other option, why not try this one? If you're thinking, I don't have money, I don't have a way to do it, I don't know anyone, there's no way, my job, my expenses, the Babylon system has me totally locked down as a wage slave. Try this, fam. And please, let me know, if let me know your journey. Let me know how it works. If you would like more information about this and how to kind of spiritually focus on something so you physically pull it into your reality, go ahead and hit me up in the comments, and I'll definitely cover it on our new channel, Dr. Mumbi Live, in a future series. But, spiritually, see yourself here, fam. See yourself here before you even physically get here, and it will happen. Have faith. And once you visualize, once you see it, don't worry about it. Don't, because sometimes you counter create. So you'll create the roadmap for yourself, sometimes innocently, sometimes subconsciously, through your visualization and focus. And then through your worry and your crazy mental activity, you'll uncreate, the magnificence that you are drawing and attracting into your own life. So, even though it seems completely impossible for you now, I want to tell you that if you spiritually see yourself returning to Africa, you will physically get here. Because let me reveal something to you, fam. There is a physical African kingdom, yes, but there is a spiritual African kingdom. And that spiritual African kingdom covers those who have passed, those who are living, and those who are yet to be born. Because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, which means we never die. And that's something we need to realize. So connect to the, spiritual kingdom. Return to the African spiritual kingdom first, and your physical body, will find its way home. Until next time, fam, I love you all so much. Mwah.